Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri. I am Tunisia Ali and I'm bringing to you today 10 ways that I feel you can afford Sisterlocks. And the reason why I'm suggesting that you can afford them is because I want you to first understand that Sisterlocks are an investment first and foremost, but you should also be aware of the benefits. It really is a way of loving yourself and your hair so that you know it's worth it if you want it, if you decide to get them. Now remember, you can have beautiful, stylish, versatile locks and they not be Sisterlocks, all right? But and you can do the interlocking method. You can get Microlocks and they're going to be just as beautiful. But if you want the Sisterlocks brand, then I do want you to know that it is an investment worthwhile making, and it's not the kind of thing that you really are going to regret. So down the line, looking back, regardless of what you pay for them, you're going to feel like it was a good investment. But I feel like there are 10 things that you can do to help sort of mitigate the financial immensity of getting Sisterlocks, or the enormity of it. And the first thing that I feel you can do is to save up over time. The same way you research over time, and Sisterlocks is not an overnight decision. Save money and put a little bit away over time. Just start throwing all your change, any change. I don't spend change. I don't spend coins. Every time I spend dollars and I get coins back, I just throw them in the jar. But find a way to save over time for the locks so that it doesn't feel like you're forking out a crap load of money at one time. Number two, by the same token, and piggybacking on number one, is consider getting a part-time job to get the money for the locks. That way it doesn't come out of your normal operating expenses. It's okay to wait table somewhere for a month or 2 months or 3 months, or to work at Walmart for 8 to 10 weeks to get the money that you need for Sisterlocks. It really is. It's okay. It's creating another revenue stream somehow to finance something that you want, that you feel is important. A lot of times we forget that we look at the constrictions of the money that we have currently, and we fail to open our minds up to the multitude of ways that we can get something facilitated, or we can have something that we want. And one of the easiest ways when you're dealing with something financial is just to create another source of income. And if you're already an entrepreneur, that can be easy to do. If not, just grab a second job for a little bit of time, do a little bit of moonlighting, you won't be sorry. Number three, along those lines, you can barter. You will be surprised the multitude of things that your everyday loctician may be in need of that you might be able to provide, considering or provided you find the right person, and whatever your skills may be. In some way, you may be able to take a portion of the cost and trade it for something else that you provide in terms of a service or a product. Consider that. It could even be something that your mother, your father, your brother, or your sister could provide, and you could then be beholden to them. So just be creative when it comes around. Number four, one of the ways to help you afford Sisterlocks is really to shop around. You got to shop around. You got to shop around. Don't assume that a consultant is cheaper, is more expensive than a trainee. Don't assume that an ambassador is more expensive necessarily than a trainee or a consultant. Shop around, because there is far and wide variance by geographic region, and so many other variables come into play when people choose the pricing for Sisterlocks. So don't give up on that. Number five, consider traveling to a different geographic location. Sometimes that can actually save you money, believe it or not. If it means going to a neighboring city, and maybe you don't have to drive as far, but that can save you several $100s, then maybe that's something you want to consider. By the same token, if you're going to East Giblet to visit your grandmother this summer, and there's a cheaper consultant there, and you trust her work and you've done some of the research, go get them done there and get them maintained in your homeland. Just be creative in the way that you look at the different possibilities. Number six, this is something that not all people welcome, but when you have Sisterlocks, you can welcome this because they're going to grow fast, is to cut a couple of inches off. Okay? If money is really an issue for you, but you really want the locks, shave some inches of your hair off. It could be just the split ends that you're taking off, but generally speaking, with most locticians, every inch can cost you an additional $50 to $75 beyond the standard 3, 4, or 5 inches that your loctician may start out with. So consider that. That is definitely a viable alternative. And knowing that your locks are going to grow back fast anyway, And really in the beginning, that little extra inch or so is not going to make you that much of a difference. They're going to be shrinking up anyway. So it's not really that bad. You'll get your locks back. Number 7, consider an alternative. And I mentioned this in the beginning, like Microlocks. Okay. Or the interlocking, another interlocking method. You still will have small locks. You will have beautiful locks. You will have locks that will be healthy for your hair. You will have locks that will be versatile. You don't have to have Sisterlocks. In my research so far, have not come across any major visual differences with regard to Sisterlocks and Microlocks. In terms of maintenance, in terms of upkeep. What you do have to be mindful of, though, is if you want the parting and the grid. I mean, you can let the person who's going to do your hair know what type of parting and what kind of grid you want. If you want a line down the middle and somebody's been doing hair for 10 or 15 years, they can give you a grid that's going to lay a certain way. First of all, so it doesn't have to be all about the grid. You can tell them what it is you want. But the thing I want you to think about is, can you find someone who's going to do that for you and it still take the same amount of time and charge you less? If you can find someone who can do that for you and it still take the same amount of time and charge you less, you may not have Sisterlocks, but you may still be able to accomplish what it is you want. So in this case, you would be affording a smaller, more versatile lock, not necessarily a Sisterlock. Okay, the other thing that you can consider is becoming a consultant or a trainee yourself, which means getting the formal Sisterlocks training and doing your own hair. And by doing your own hair, that means that you can retighten your own hair, which means in the long run, that's going to save you money as well, making it an even better investment if you have the patience and the aptitude for it. And then also it can create business opportunities for you, because in reality, you can begin doing other people's hair too. You really can. You can begin to become someone who does installs or just does retightenings for other people's hair. So consider the do-it-yourself role also. And then number 9 is, if you're talking about more long-term expenses beyond the installation, you can also begin to consider how you can maintain them on your own. If you figure retightenings are going to be the thing that are going to make affordability an issue, find out or consider or research retightening your own. It's really not that difficult. I retightened my whole head for the first time back in December, and I want to say it took me maybe 4 to 5, not 4, because I broke it up over time. Over time, it felt like 4 hours. Maybe it took me 6 hours, but I started in the edges. And before I knew it, I was moving them further and further. And I said, I can do this. I can do this. And I also wanted the experience of knowing that I could do it on my own and knowing that I didn't have to be in a space of relying on someone else necessarily. So you can do your own Sisterlocks. You can also do someone else's and have them do yours if you don't want to be the one to do your own Sisterlocks. There are a lot of ways that you can be creative and still get the styling options that you want and the hairstyle of your choice. Number 10 thing that you can do, consider a trainee, because a trainee typically, although not always, but because they're trying to get experience and they are new, they are going to be cheaper. Oftentimes their services are not as in demand as a consultant because this is such a big investment. So obviously do your research, but consider getting a trainee. If you have a trainee doing your hair, you can almost certainly be able to save some extra money. Shop around, consider traveling to a different geographic area, consider cutting your hair, consider an alternative, do-it-yourself options, full-time, become a trainee or a consultant yourself, consider a part-time job for a few months. Yeah, so I think I've named all of them. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope that I've given you some ideas and planted some information for you to marinate over that can help you figure out the path to getting the hairstyle that you want if it happens to be Sisterlocks. You're Tanisha Ali with Tanisha's Beauty Tips, Potpourri, and Locs. Have a great afternoon. Be peaceful and productive. Okay, go forth and multiply. Be prosperous and abundant.